What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo. Tonight, we are talking Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, the 3 episodes that dropped yesterday, and we're going to be talking about the Fantastic Four First Steps teaser trailer that we got on Tuesday. But before we get into all of that, if you're watching out on YouTube, Twitch, wherever you're watching us, follow, subscribe, do all those wonderful things that help our small channel out tremendously. Please. And Dave, comma Doug, how's it going, gentlemen?
Well, Keith, I am fan freaking tastic. Torque. Oh, see, I just didn't want you to make you feel bad that you messed up the tremendous when you said it.
I appreciate that.
I am fan freaking tastic. Just watched these 3 episodes, actually, 1.5 yesterday and 1.5 today. And well, I got some thoughts. And as far as this trailer goes, you know what? This trailer was a little bit shorter than the rest of them that I've seen, like for new movies. It was like 1.5 minutes rather than like 2.5 minutes. So
I think that's why they labeled it as a teaser.
yeah, it was a teaser to the teaser.
No, that's what we got on Monday, where it showed the kids running up to look at the TV. That was the
that's right.
teaser for the teaser.
Yeah,
And
hopefully
this
they
is
come
the
up with
teaser
a.
for the trailer that we'll probably get during the Super Bowl.
No, I don't think
No,
I don't think we're going to get anything new for.
I hope they come up with a second trailer that's got a little more, but maybe they want the whole thing to be mysterious. I don't know. But we'll get into that in a minute. So, Doug, how are you doing?
Well, Dave, let me tell you, I am outstanding. Glad that I'm here with you fine gentlemen, getting ready to talk a little bit of Marvel animation and perhaps a little bit of Marvel movie making. Ooh. Yeah, can't wait to talk about this stuff. Yeah, I agree with you, Dave. It's a bit of a short little teaser, a little bit of a tease there, but yeah, it's different, and I can't wait to talk about. Honestly, that kind of the theme for everything we're going to be talking about tonight. The animated 3 episodes that we watch of Spider-Man. It's different. So yeah, Keith, sir, how are you doing?
I am tremendous. Busy week. We had new door walls put in. I had eye surgery. We had a day off because of all the ice from the kids for the school. So it was a little action-packed week. So I am happy to be sitting down. I'm happy I found the time to watch these 3 episodes. And I'm happy sitting down with you fine gentlemen to discuss it. Because I'm enjoying it. I know you two probably aren't, but darn it, I am. Would you guys like to get into episodes 3, 4, and 5 of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Yes.
Basically
let's talk.
called Secret Identity Crisis, Hitting the Big Time, and The Unicorn Unleashed. And episode 3 starts out, Norman invites Peter to a private dinner.
Perfect continuation from the last episode.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, that's good. I like that.
It was great that once he found out Norman was paying, he, like any teenager,
Right.
started eating his weight in food. It was great. And you see, I love how mature Peter is about not wanting to get his family and friends harmed. Saying, I don't want you to help me, not because I can do this on my own and I'm Spider-Man, I don't need help, but people find out you're involved, you're going to be a target too, and I don't want to have to put you through that. I don't want my Aunt May being targeted. I don't want all this. And it's good seeing, such a good head on his shoulders at that age. He's a smart kid. He knows what he has to do.
Well, I got to say, Keith, one of the things that I am appreciating about that scene that you just spoke about, and kind of this series so far, and I have my issues with it, but there is something that I do appreciate. The head writer and showrunner, Jeff Trammell, I can tell that he gets the character of Peter Parker. He is either well acquainted with the comics or he's just a big fan, because the way that he's written this version of Peter, which he has a slightly different take on it, he gets all the main mannerisms of him. He gets down his quippy nature. He's always worried about money. He's, you know, taking a job that he doesn't really want because he knows it'll help benefit Aunt May. So we got to see like the whole thing that we see all the time in the older cartoons, in the comics, where Aunt May is getting, you know, bills at, you know, last noticed, final notice and everything, and Peter realizes, you know, I gotta suck it up. I gotta help out my Aunt May. She's always been there for me. And we always see him also in this animated series. He's constantly striving to help other people. I cannot tell you all enough how much I like in my superhero media when I see them being heroes, like the half part of the superhero. You know, seeing them stop and, you know, not always worrying about fighting the villain, but stop to save people. And that ended up, we saw that very clearly in, I want to say, episode 5, where he was fighting against the unicorn. We'll talk about that when we get into that episode, but it was on full display, and I just wanted to show my appreciation just right up front for those mannerisms of Peter that they nailed. And yeah, you hit the nail on the head when he said he's looking at the menu. His first instinct is, I better go with water.
I'd just like to say, Tall Guy 0403 just subscribed with Prime for 29 months. Thank you so much, Tall Guy 0403, whoever that might be. He's been with us for a while. We appreciate the support. It goes a long way.
Yeah, that guy's a pretty cool dude.
Roots for terrible sports teams, but yeah, he's a cool dude.
You know,
Absolutely.
I was gonna. Oh, absolutely. This whole series is a what if. They should have just made this.
Yeah.
They could have labeled it "What If," and then then the rest of the name of the show.
And they did What If the way I like the What If comics. It's what if Norman Osborn was Peter's, mentor and not Tony Stark.
Yeah.
The What If show is like, what if something that never happened happened a different way? And it's like,
Yeah.
huh?
Right.
That's my favorite type of what if too. That's kind of what I thought the what if series was going to be. And what we got was sometimes a hit or miss, mostly a miss, but this is Dave, that's a really good way to take this. Spider-Man what if?
It's just splintering off from that moment in Civil War where it's Osborn instead of Tony Stark. And ever since then it's been similar events but different, different what do they call it?
Occurrences?
No, consequences.
Mm.
Different consequences. But they're having similar events. I like that, and I like that Norman Osborn hasn't shown his dark side yet. And how long is that going to take that to come out? I wonder if it'll be even by the end of the season, because I kind of like the way it's going. They're building a relationship with him and Harry, and that's why Smallville was so good. So go ahead and hit the button, because Clark and Lex were best friends for like 5 seasons, and then they broke off. The old story of Jesus and Judas, and what's the oh Brutus, you two, who's that guy?
Napoleon?
Julius Caesar and Brutus, huh?
Oh yeah, yes, Julius Caesar, not Napoleon.
Yeah, Julius Caesar's and Brutus. It's always their best friend who becomes their nemesis, but they don't normally show the best friend portion of it. They just show the evil side. I love that they're making these two get along, and work together.
I slightly disagree with you about Norman not showing his darkness yet.
Okay.
Are you going to talk about when Peter said, he was like, I don't want anyone to get hurt, and he was like, I can protect myself, because I was like, there's a little green goblin coming out in him.
But also kind of using Peter like a bit of a guinea pig. And it's like you can tell that he's exerting his control. And he's going to, put more and more on Peter, and he's going to make more demands. And I can eventually see this. Well, who provided you your suit? Who made you who you are? And Peter's going to have to come to a come to Jesus moment, essentially, and be like, Do I, am I Spider-Man? It's gonna be like with Iron Man. Am I Spider-Man with or without this suit? Am I Spider-Man without Norman Osborn? Because I think that's what's going to end up coming to head. We're going to see Norman getting more and more involved in Spider-Man's life, and eventually it's going to come to head where, at least this is my what if,
Yeah.
or my what's next, I guess.
What's next?
But yeah, I think that's what we're going to end up, come across where we can see that Norman is impatient. We already, we're pretty clear on that. He's impatient. He's not putting Peter in a sterile environment to test out the suit and get him used to it. He's putting him right on the street fighting criminals with these untested suits that Peter does not know how to control. And to him, it's just, okay, well, it's just an experiment. It went wrong. Come back. We'll refit you. Get back out there. By the way, I added this to your suit. Also, my son is going to be your guy in the chair or dude at the desk.
That was my problem. Wouldn't Peter say, "All right, nobody knew who I am except for you, and you just told somebody else without telling me"?
Mm-hmm. He's
You know,
exerting more and more control,
I don't
man.
think. No, he didn't tell his son who he
But
was.
just Harry just happened to be there.
Yeah, Harry was in talking to his dad, and Peter comes flopping in as Spider-Man and took
Oh,
his mask off.
okay. That's true, I guess.
no, 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 no. He didn't take his mask off.
Yes, he did.
They were sitting there at the desk, and he said, "I'm going to involve Harry." Or
No,
whatever.
before that, Dave, when Peter first came in.
He didn't see Harry. And he took
That-
off his mask and he
yeah.
was saying something. And he goes, and he was like, "You're Spider-Man?"
Yeah, so
Oh my
he
God,
entered the office. That was
I
at the
totally
end
remember
of
that.
episode 4.
I totally didn't remember that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, at the very end of the episode.
And
So
it
he
is
comes
3
bursting into the
episodes.
office like he did in all the other iterations, ripped his mask off, not realizing Harry was in there, which that's kind of
Yeah.
on Peter.
All right, Keith, edit that out for later, will you?
Yeah, sure.
Edit that out of the live. Doing it live.
Screw it.
Then back to the third episode. We get Lonnie, who has to get driven home by
Yes.
Pearl. We don't really know, and then we find out his brother kind of got arrested, or not really arrested, but brought home by the cops because he was hanging out with the 110th Street gang. He goes to talk to him. He ran out of his room. He goes to the gang and basically, hey, you let my brother go, I'll take his place. I know you can't let him, but and that's, as soon as that happened, I'm like, okay, we're starting to get into Lonnie's
Dark side.
his transformation into Tombstone. I didn't think we would get his name so soon, and we did get it in the 5th episode.
Yeah, that kind of threw me for a bit.
But I like the way they did it was nice. I didn't think they did a bad job on it. They're doing a good job of really showing, hey, he's a good kid. He wanted to help, and he did this to help his brother. But now he's starting to like it a little bit. He's
I'll
definitely.
say this: it's a bit
Yeah,
of a
after
breath
that
of.
fight, he is.
What's that, Dave?
After that fight, he is liking
Oh,
it a little
yeah.
bit more.
Yeah. I'll say this: it's a bit of a breath of fresh air that they're doing a little bit something different with Tombstone, because in his other iterations that I'm familiar with anyway, he was never Peter's age. He was usually one of the adults and he was always a criminal. I don't remember him ever really being portrayed as being a good dude. He's been always one of those where he was looking for his next score. He was looking for the next way to, make it big. And I assumed that was what the name of the next episode, something about big time.
Hitting the big time, yep.
Hitting the big time. I assumed that was a reference to that. Either that or the way that my, ADD rattled mind works. It instantly made me think of the Batman Beyond episode where they had basically a similar premise to Tombstone's normal story, where Terry McGinnis, who is the new Batman, he ends up realizing one of his friends from the past gets out of jail, and it was the same friend that he used to run around and do gang stuff with. And it turns out his friend just wants to get out of jail and go right back to doing crime, and it's up to Batman to stop his friend. But in stopping him, chemicals, because superhero comics, turn him into a villain called Big Time, and he's a Tombstone knockoff. That's all he is.
Well, and we talked about it last week. They're doing a really good job of making Lonnie a likable character.
Mm-hmm.
He
I like
wanted to
that.
buy
It's,
Peter
like, such
lunch
different. I
because
enjoy
he's
it.
like, hey, we got an A+ on our lab. Let's go. I'm buying you lunch. I'm doing this, And of course, he doesn't have enough money, so he's eating the apple. He brings that rose for his, girlfriend. And then, he's talking to the coach, and he's not being a jerk about it. He's like, hey, just have some family things going on. The coach is like, scouts will be here and all this. And he's basically a good dude, and he wants to help, and he wants to do the right thing. But he knows after the little food delivery thing, he needs the 110th Street gang to protect his family because the Scorpions know his face, probably know his family. I mean, Big Donovan really roped him into this gang. I'm sure this isn't his first rodeo doing things like this, but he, sunk his claws into Lonnie, and Lonnie's not getting out. So we're going to see a downfall.
Yeah. I see Big Donovan as very much like kind of a cult leader. I can see him where he's bringing these people in and making them reliant on him because you can see him slowly trying to convince Lonnie, you don't need school, you don't need football, you don't need your friends, and eventually he's going to separate him from his normal social network and get him to the point where he is, as you put it, Keith, where he's going to be so reliant on the 112th Street gang, not only for protecting his family, but they're probably going to be giving him money. Either going to give him a ride, they're going to, his entire life is going to be wrapped up with the gang to the point where if he were to try and leave, it would disrupt his whole life. And also he's got that threat of, they also know who his family is too. And so if it isn't the Scorpions, it'll be the 112th Street gang.
110th.
And 110th Street gang. And that parallels very much with what Peter is going through, I think, as well. Because now he's beholden to Norman. And if he tries to step away from Norman, Norman knows his face. Norman knows his aunt. So it's kind of like Peter and Lonnie are in their own separate gangs.
And you're right. One of the differences in the MCU version, as opposed to this what if version, Iron Man would have just been, hey, you want to do your own thing? That's cool. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to hurt your family. Norman, he doesn't know this yet. It's not going to be easy to get out from under his thumb, and it's going to be nice. Like I said, they're building so many storylines in this. We got Lonnie's storyline with him Breaking Bad. We got Norman, his mentorship with Peter, and we're going to see that start going south a little bit, and Peter wanting to get away, and Norman not going to let up control of that. We got Otto, which as soon as they were going to drop off money and stuff, I'm like,
obviously,
please make him like the old comic book accurate. Because, he's went through a lot of different iterations in the comics.
You got a Gilbert.
Oh. Let me start my 5-minute timer. He's went through a lot of iterations. And it was great to see, like, the Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, Otto, when she went in to get her unicorn helmet.
Okay, so let me ask you guys this, because you're a little bit more familiar with the older comics than I am. The backstory of, I assume you are, but the backstory of Otto that I'm familiar with is that he knew Peter as a kid, and Otto also wasn't always a bad dude. He was a noble scientist. He just needed funding for his science. It was kind of the way that they played it in Spider-Man 2, that where he was a scientist, he had these things that he wanted to do, but he just didn't have the money to do them, so he turned to crime in order to perform his experiments. That's the story that I was familiar with. I don't know if it seems like they're kind of doing that in this route, but he seems like he's already like fully committed to, I'm a bad guy.
Go ahead, Gilbert.
He was always like a scientist first. And then when people didn't want to fund his stuff, that's when he kind of went down this path. So we still could get that. Like, I'm guessing Norman knows Otto. And he probably has seen that emblem. And he probably knows exactly who's funding all of this stuff. And, of course, he hasn't let Peter know yet.
Mm-hmm. And I am curious about that, too. Why has he not let Peter know? What is he hiding?
He might be the one who wanted that building burnt down to build his own high rise. He's working with Otto just like he's working with Peter. Or he's at least hiring people to work to get Otto equipment to do this stuff for him. I think we may see the people working for Norman but are buying the stuff from Otto, because that kid, no way he could have afforded those burner gloves.
It's like Lionel Luthor said again on Smallville that
You get the button again.
the most power is concealed. Like, if you have the information, you don't share it with anybody. It's so you'll know how to use it when you need to. And that's what he's doing. That's what Norman Osborn's doing. He's got different projects going with different people. He doesn't let anybody know about each other, but he knows all about them.
And he may want Spider-Man to do jobs for him later that may benefit Norman. And Peter is too much like Captain America. He does what's right no matter what.
Well, he did say he's Team Cap, just like
Harry.
Harry. Thank you.
Because
brain is
he's
like,
a clone.
Norman, say Norman.
The real Captain America died 4 months ago, and this is a clone.
I love that there's conspiracy theories in this series.
Of course, that'd be a normal thing to happen anyway. He's living on the moon. Remember, he's living on the moon.
Right. I forgot about that. Yeah. No, it does. It adds a little bit more realism. One of the other things that so far I've been appreciating that I used to despise about Ultimate Spider-Man, the animated series, not the comic. I liked the comic. But I used to hate how often he broke the fourth wall. And it was like in a very cringy, childish way. He doesn't do that in this series, and I'm so thankful he doesn't. But they still got the quips down pat.
Well, he's only really funny to me when he is Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're doing it so well. They're doing that so well. They got the idea and the character of Spider-Man pretty down pat. What I'm not a super fan of as far as how they're portraying his character, though, is his reliance on other people to help him come up with his stuff. Like, I get that they need him to. They want to tell the story where he is being mentored by Norman Osborn, who will eventually turn on him, probably become the Goblin, or he'll turn his son Harry into a Goblin. I think he's listed actually in IMDb as New Goblin. So it's an interesting take. I prefer my Peter Parker thinking on his own 2 feet. I don't know. To me, it's always Peter smarts that I think is the star of the show. Whenever he can't beat somebody up, he thinks his way out of it. And they displayed that really well in No Way Home with Doctor Strange when he was like, "Oh, it's Matt."
Gilbert's done. But, I like it too in the sense that he's young and he's still learning. He'll get to that point where he does all this stuff and all the outsmarting by himself. And I actually enjoyed it in the first episode when he was fighting the speedster and the knife hands. When Norman's like, "Oh, I hacked into your cell phone." He goes, "Okay, that's a little weird, but what do you got?" And he seemed to know a lot about, they don't stand near each other. Like, they can't be near each other. And listen for a sound. Like, he knew a lot about that equipment, which really, when he was saying that stuff, I'm like, okay, he's working with Otto. He's got to be working with Otto, if not directly, indirectly in some way. He knows he worked for Norman at some point, so Norman understand how he works, and that's how he figured it out. But there's a connection between those two that's going to come out. And I got a feeling once Otto creates his tentacles, and I said tentacles, he might be coming after Norman because maybe Norman, he invented something for Norman that he knows will be beneficial for his, new life of crime.
So can I tell you my what's next theory about that?
Of course.
So in
Wait,
episode...
no, don't stop. I don't want to hear.
You don't want to hear? Okay. I'll see myself out.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding.
I love you, Dave.
Oh, that's
I
nice
love
of
you absolutely.
Oh, time to drink.
But no, my theory on that whole situation in episode 6, I think it was. No, 5. Episode 5, sorry.
So say we didn't see 6 yet. Do you got the screeners, Doug?
Whoops, you got me. In episode 5, when Harry becomes the dude at the desk, the reason Norman has to leave is he's told he has to meet with the investors. What if, and what's next, I think the investor, at least one of them, is going to be Kingpin. And how much you want to bet, and how much you want to bet, this is how Norman is acquainted with Otto. What if the Kingpin is putting together, not yet, his Sinister Six, but what if he's putting together a team of intelligent scientific minds to help him build his criminal empire?
Man, you know what? I like it. We know Daredevil's going to be in it, so it would make absolute sense that the Kingpin is in it also. I hope you're right.
That still counts.
That does count.
I like that, Doug. That is an excellent what's next. Because, a lot of these things are going to be tied together. Obviously the Lonnie Lincoln storyline's its own thing. But I think the Otto and, we see... I didn't recognize the kid, the guy and the girl from the first episode. I don't know if they're small-time characters in a comic I never read. There's been 900 Spider-Man comics. I haven't read every one. I've read a lot of them.
You don't have them memorized?
I know, I'm sorry. But obviously, we met Matt Gargan, who is the Scorpion in episode 4. We saw him, so he's definitely going to get powered up with a suit at some point. And then we saw the Rhino and the Chameleon. You guys knew that the guy with the beard was the Chameleon. I don't know if you guys...
that Dimitri. I did not. I heard the name, but I wasn't registering it.
Yeah, he's the Chameleon. Now, the one lady who's the unicorn, I didn't know she was a unicorn. I don't know if she is in the comics. And I don't know who the other lady is, but I was thinking she looks like Screaming Mimi, who became Songbird in Marvel Comics. But she kind of had that look, and I'm like, oh my God, is she going to get a voice amplification thing and become basically Songbird of this thing? I was like, wow. So they're putting a lot of these people already out there, and it looks like Otto is going to supply a lot of the tech. The one guy was the Rhino. He'll probably get a Rhino suit because they already said, oh, you're like a Rhino. He's like, no, more like a unicorn or whatever. And then,
I call her you.
The Chameleon probably going to get tech from Otto. So everybody seems to be getting outfitted for that. So it'd be nice to see the Kingpin finding out, hey, there's this guy supplying tech to boost people. I need it. I need people who can, take on Daredevil and Spider-Man. So that would be great because he's got the money to do it. So he may start arming his army of thugs.
Octavius, you're getting too flashy.
Is that your Kingpin? I love it. That's his Kingpin. I love it.
I was a boy, we didn't have fists of fury.
See, that's why I don't know if it's Scott Snyder. I'm right in the middle of a sentence.
Yes, you are.
And you lost it.
Okay, I'll be right back.
I wonder what Scott Snyder's written some of the best Batman stories. So I wonder if he's reading a Batman story.
Probably.
But yeah, it'll be, and once again, they're doing exactly what we talked about last week, which I really enjoy. They're not rushing these people. We've met Matt Gargan. He's not the Scorpion yet. We met, oh my God, I can't remember the Rhino's first name. We met him. He's not the Rhino yet, but he's got the personality traits of it. So we're going to see all of this coming out, and I can't wait for it. They're slow burning Norman, turning into the Green Goblin. We may not even see it season 1. It may be down the line, and they've set up enough between Lonnie Lincoln, the Scorpion, the Rhino, the Chameleon. Who else has been in this and I'm forgetting? Oh, the lizard, Dr. Connors.
Right, right. Yeah. Oh, that's going to be a slow burn, I bet.
Yeah. And then
Because
we
she's
even
not even showing any, to me, she's not showing any darkness yet. I'm not seeing any evil coming out. Like, I can kind of pinpoint it in Norman. He's starting to show his gabbiness
yeah, he's
quick. But yeah, I'm not
definitely
seeing that.
going to turn. He's
Connors.
he's shown that dark side. But yeah, Dr. Connors just she's working in, energy and stuff. She's not even trying to cure, her lack of an arm. She doesn't not trying to regenerate it or anything yet. We don't have to see it this season, but it's coming, and they've just set up all these characters, and I can't wait to see how it all plays out. They've got 3 seasons we know of, so they're taking their time, they're doing it right, and to me, it's great. And I'm going to say something, and I'm probably going to be harassed by you and Dave about this.
Okay.
I'm not a shipper. Do you know what a shipper is, Doug?
Yes, I do. I'm quite familiar with the idea of taking 2 fictional characters and shipping them together and saying, now kiss.
I am not a shipper, but man,
You want him and Nick.
Yes. Like when she was upset when he invited Harry, I was like, Peter, how can you be so oblivious to this? And I'm like, oh, wait, he's a teenager. We've all done dumb stuff like that when we were a teenager. Yeah.
And they're freshmen in high school.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a huge idiot when I was a freshman in high school.
I still
I
am.
mean, I still am, but I mean, I was a bigger idiot.
So it's like I watch that, and they're like seemingly so good together. It's like, oh, I bought this ticket. She's like, oh, the worst B movie ever. The sequel that never got released. I can't believe it. And he's like, I got his tickets, and let's go. And she's like,
That was a slick move on Peter. Like, I mean, if he wasn't so frigging oblivious, I mean, wow, good going, dude. I mean, way to get the girl. Like, first off, you're letting her know that you're paying enough attention to the things that she's into, and then on top of that, you're like, let me surprise you with this thing you didn't know about. Fucking kudos to you, Pete. Like,
And then he was 1 minute late,
yeah.
ruining the whole thing.
Normally, most iterations of Peter would have missed it completely.
Yeah.
or he would have been there right as she's getting out of the film.
Right, yeah.
And I thought for
it's
sure that was
okay,
going to
Pete,
happen.
I knew you wouldn't show. I went ahead and went in with so-and-so.
When he was laying on the bus and he's like, I'm going to take a nap on your dad's couch or whatever. I'm like, he forgot about the movie. And then he's like, oh my God, the movie.
I forgot about the movie too. When he said that, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about it too, Pete. You were so busy fighting.
But,
Well, what I was going to say before I went away was I like how you talking about how they're integrating all their characters already.
Mm-hmm.
I love how they do that in Batman. The Long Halloween and what's the other one that comes after? Dark Victory. Those two, they just go through all the villains. At some point they go through them all and they include them all in the story.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any other usually when you're in a certain number of a line of comics, they have one villain that they're concentrating on. I think it's
Villain
pretty
of the
cool.
week. Yeah.
Yeah, when we can just drop the seeds in as you go. I love it when they can do that.
But yeah, no, it does always feel like it comes out of nowhere. The fact that it's like, oh, here's this week's villain. Have you ever met him before? Nope, doesn't matter. But yeah, no, it is kind of nice seeing them weaved into the story. The fact that they've either crossed paths with Peter or they, you've seen them around New York to the point where they feel like they're a part of the Spider-Man ecosystem.
Yeah.
And we've even got some heroes. Amadeus Choi is what is he called? The super incredible Hulk. I forget his name, but he was in the Champions as a Hulk.
Okay.
And he's
That I didn't know.
highly intelligent. What is he called? Man, if someone's in the chat can remind me. And then the Wakanda lady, she's like a light power based hero.
Okay.
I can't remember her name now. I should have written it down. But they're like sprinkling
Our
heroes
girl.
in. Yeah. They're sprinkling heroes in there too. And who knows? We may never see, Amanda's Cho turn into his version of the Hulk. And we may never see, I think it's Asha, the Wakandan, who turns in, she's like she has light powers. We may never see that, but it's nice they're there. They can use them if they want to.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have to. And while we're talking about all of the people that got the internship, it was great that Norman said, listen, I started wondering who you were, and I started doing all these factors, and I figured out one of you four was probably helping him. To my surprise, you were actually him.
You just came right out and said.
Yeah, but I knew one of you four was somehow associated with Spider-Man. And that's what I like, when smart villains do smart things and don't just, I'm super intelligent, but I made 500 mistakes every 5 minutes and it cost me everything. It hurts the story when the, super intelligent villain does a bunch of dumb stuff to lose, instead of the hero just outsmarting them and being better. So I like what they're doing with this. They're not dumbing people down. They're doing the right thing. And if we get the Kingpin next week, I'm going to be ecstatic.
I just thought of another possible what's next.
Let's hear it.
What if one of the things that Norman has Peter do is essentially perform security for Oscorp? What if it's something that's like, it's not exactly illegal, but it's also not really fighting crime? What if it's just like a sort of corporate shenanigans where he's like, hey, I need you to go and stop this from happening or prevent this from happening. Peter's like, well, I don't really understand, just help me out. I mean, I'm your guy I'm your dude at the desk, and I gave you the suit, and do this for me. Like, trust me, Pete. Trust me, Pete. I've got your best interests in mind. And
if you don't
now
do
Peter's
it,
starting to question, like,
If you don't do it, I can turn your suit off.
There you go. And it's probably going to be little threats like that Peter's going to realize, oh, he's the baddie.
He's not a good guy.
He'll eventually figure it out, because Pete's a smart kid, and he's going to realize that. Just like he's going to realize that his buddy Lonnie is up to bad things.
Like, oh, no, Pete, let those guys go that have the that high-tech equipment. Just go ahead and let them rob that bank or whatever. Ignore this one. Go do this instead. Well, I can't stop it, miss. I'm telling you, let this one go.
Or he'll be saving people from some tragedy, and Norman will be like, you've got to get to this corner. There's a robbery going on. They're robbing me. He's like, I got to save these people.
I can see that. Yep.
And Norman's going to fly off the handle like, you should have been saving our stuff, my stuff, and instead you were saving people. Norman, I had to save the people. They were going to die.
They don't matter. I
could
really see that.
Watch.
We're completely wrong, and he's never going to be the Goblin.
Right. He's a good guy all the way through.
He's just going to be a good guy the whole season 3. He's giving to charities, and he's got no money left.
And we're like, oh, when he's out of money, he's totally turning into the Goblin. And then he's working at Feast with Aunt May. Just feeding the homeless now. It's what I have to do. When are you turning into the Green Goblin?
Oh, I really wish you wouldn't call me that. The news got video of me digging through a dumpster, and they called me the Goblin. It's like, oh,
I came
no.
up and I had this melon on my head. It was green, and they just all started laughing at me.
It's very hurtful.
They said it was an improvement on my natural hair.
Okay. And then that'll be in the Daily Bugle. Local vigilante Spider-Man fights poor homeless dude.
He's just there looking pathetic,
Oh, that would be funny. And then I could see the headline in the USA Today. Hundreds of, thousands of Spider-Man nerds go crazy because a cartoon never turned Norman Osborn into the Green Goblin. Why didn't they turn him into the Green Goblin? He's definitely the Green Goblin. How did they not do it? They did every other villain, but they can't do the Green
Season
Goblin.
Season 8. Okay, this is going to be the one.
And then he turns out he's this cabbage guy from Last Airbender.
The final episode of the last season, Norman takes on the Infinity Gauntlet and stops Thanos.
Now, see, I wanted to talk about that for a sec too.
Okay.
Because so many parallels to the MCU. We saw the Sokovia Accords. We saw the fight at the airport, which Spider-Man was not a part of in this universe. Are we going to see Thanos? Are we going to see the snap in your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man? Is that going to happen in this universe?
I think so, but my theory is that this time it won't affect Peter.
Right. That would be weird. Hey, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. It's just Aunt May.
Nope.
It moves forward from
Another past due bill. I wish Peter was here to help me pay these. Nico practicing her magic. Why isn't this working?
Oh, yeah, right. Peter comes back. She's an adult with a staff and an eye patch and hanging out with other wizards. Peter, you're just in time to join the rebellion. Whoa, what?
Who are we rebelling against? Norman. He's such a nice guy. Not anymore.
You haven't been here for a while.
Right. Yeah, no, I was thinking about that too because I noticed all the parallels, and it is weird that he isn't on Tony Stark's radar at all. Or if he is, Tony's like, being the bigger man, like, oh no, I don't want to involve a kid in all this mess.
Yep.
But it is interesting that they did decide to go with the MCU version of Civil War instead of, because all the art would scream comic book accuracy, but they're definitely sticking more in parallel with the MCU while not actually being in it.
I think that has a lot to do with this originally being planned to be
I agree,
sacred timeline type stuff. So they just changed what they wanted to change and say, we're not in the MCU. What'd you say, Dave?
I almost wonder if...
I said they're in the 838.
Right.
What's that?
The 838. That's the one that Doctor Strange was in.
Oh, yeah. I almost wonder if season 2 we're going to see them stray even further. I can understand why there's so many parallels in this one because it was originally supposed to be a prequel to Spider-Man Homecoming. But now that they're no longer beholden to that, now that they can kind of do their own thing, I wonder if they are going to stray even further, and then we're going to see even less parallels in season 2 onward.
That would be my thought.
Yeah, I think that's kind of cool that we're seeing a completely other multiverse, but they're sticking with that story. They're staying in that universe. What I would think would be cool is if they had another character in that universe who they branched off with.
Oh yeah. Well, actually, I was going to wait till we got towards the end, but I do think that is what's going to happen because you guys ready for just a teeny tiny rumor mill rundown?
Yeah.
And I'm sure, Keith, you've already heard this because you're definitely usually more on it than I am with this. But the current rumor going around is that the MCU, Marvel, is planning on rebooting The Runaways. And that this may be a backdoor pilot for that.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting. I did not hear that.
They liked how popular the show was. That was on Hulu and stuff. And they would... but they have ideas like this all the time, too. So, I hope it's true because I really did like that Runaway show. I thought they did a really good job with it. So, yeah, if Nico is popular, and I don't see any reason why she wouldn't be. Her character has been great on this. It may turn into a Runaways series. And I'm all for it.
I am for it, too. Okay, and back to our regular scheduled program.
Oh, and then let's talk about Tombstone getting his name. They're fighting. We see Matt Gargan coming after Big Don. He has a knife, and Lonnie tackles him, ends up getting stabbed. It's nice. Once again, they're doing the right things. Lonnie, just because he's a football player and everything, isn't beating up all these gang members that have fought for years on the street, He tackled them and saved, Big Don, but then he got stabbed in the arm and kind of got knocked down and all that stuff. But because what he did, it's like, hey, man.
Now he's got more respect.
It was great, too, because he's like, hey, Lonnie, come here. What did I do now? And he's like, no, you saved me there. You tackled him and drove him into the ground. And they're like, oh, should we call him Gravedigger? It's like, don't call me Superstar or whatever. And it's like,
right.
No, Tombstone. And I was like, that's nice. They did a really good job of setting that up. Once again, got to it in episode 5. They didn't rush to it, but they're fast tracking Lonnie's story, I think, a little bit. So we may see Tombstone be a villain before some of these other villains pan out, like Dr. Connors.
Did you see that smile on his face when they called him Tombstone?
Yep, he likes it.
They're sucking him in.
He did
Telling
say
you it's
he
that whole
liked
cult
it,
mentality.
but he's losing his football scholarship. It's gone.
They're gonna warp his mind to a point where he's gonna think, I don't need it. I've got a good life here. I'm making good money.
Yeah.
And he's gonna end up he's probably gonna end up going the Darth Vader route and thinking, well, I can depose Big Donovan and I can be in charge of this gang.
Yep. And this is my brothers. This is my family. So I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Well, I always thought it was funny. They're called the 110th Street Gang, but they kept referring to themselves as the 110th, even when they were talking to the Scorpion there. And I definitely thought someone was going to make a crack about 1/10, as in 1/10.
Oh. No, they're not good at math.
They let it go. They didn't even, if I were there, I would have said something, but I wasn't there.
You would have been
They made fun of him doing homework, so they don't know fractions.
That's right. Yeah. They don't do
You would have made a math joke. Both gangs would have turned on you first.
Yes.
And then
I'm sorry.
I'm just kidding.
I'm
It's a
sur-
joke.
Oh, the nerd.
I'm surprised you got it. It's a math. Oh, they're running faster. I'm out of here.
Well, the banjos came on. I got to run faster.
Oh no! Oh no! No banjos! No, we don't want that type of gang.
Great.
We saw a few examples. You were talking about, Spider-Man saving people. We saw a few examples. And in episode 5, they really showed it because Unicorn was taking advantage of it. First, she attacked those innocent bystanders on the street, knowing Spider-Man would save them and open himself up to attack. But then she also knew if she tried to, murder the Rhino, because I can't remember his name, he would save him. And, she did it, showing her true colors, what her character really is. Spider-Man jumps in front, gets blasted, gets, pretty much knocked unconscious. But it was enough when she went to kill him that Rhino saved him. Then, of course, poor naive Peter, like, hey, we're buddies now. Oh, no, we're not. I'm going to jail, but we're even. You saved my life. Now we're even, kid. But when I get out, watch out. And I was like, because he's going to have a big gray suit on with a horn, and he's just going to be trampling people, and I can't wait.
Very intimidating suit he will have.
But I do, out of that, I like the fact that they're showing that these villains aren't just, pure evil. I will do evil for evil's sake. I like the fact that he's like, look, you saved my life. I owe you a life debt. I got you this time. I'll go to jail for now, but I will kill you later.
Yep. I couldn't let her kill you
Does
after you
not
saved
change anything. I'm still gonna kill you.
me and my buddy Chameleon and Unicorn, Screaming Mimi. We're all coming to get you.
I'm sorry, hold on. Did you just say the chameleon and the Who is naming you people? oh, the animal thing. Spider-Man, I get it now. Okay.
Doc Ock is naming us. Doc Ock? What? He's an octopus?
What?
What is going on here? Well, should we rate these episodes?
I think we should.
Since Dave is off camera, I can go first.
All right.
I am enjoying these episodes. I think they're really well done. I think, like you said, they've got Peter down pat. They do a really good job of showing freshman in high school Peter and how he is. They've made him less awkward in front of people. Like, he has friends and all this stuff, but it's still Peter Parker. And the quips while he's fighting, they always said, one of the things Stanley said is he does that because he's nervous. So he talks the whole time and makes jokes to kind of lighten the mood and, keep him not thinking about the anxiety of the situation. So they really got that. But for me, they are just doing a great job of writing plot threads going and starting things down the line, not rushing to them. And not just because, the Rhino and the Unicorn are Russian and Dimitri are all Russian, but because they're not racing to get these done. They're taking their time and they're doing it the way I like to see it. Some of the best comics and best shows draw out the storylines as far as they can and put more in it. And that's what this is doing. I didn't know if we would get that in a 10-episode season, but they've got it down pat. And the animation is growing on me more and more. It wasn't as choppy as some of the first two episodes were a little bit. I didn't notice any bad animation this time, and I may just have overlooked it. I did have eye surgery when I was watching them, so I don't know. But to me, this is picking up the pace. It's getting better with each episode. I like where they're going, or where I think they're going. So I'm going to give these 3 episodes a 7.5. I'm digging this show. It's getting better for me.
I'm in a similar boat as you, but
I'm back.
welcome back, Dave. Unlike you, the animation does still bother me. It is still a bit choppy, and I'm noticing more and more that it's almost like they forget to animate the eyes, and it's like every now and again a head will turn. They're like, "Oh shit, make them blink." It's like I know that it shouldn't bother me that much, but like I said in the last time that we were reviewing the first 2 episodes, I'm a very visual person, so I kind of pick up on little nuances like that. So, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the animation, and one of the other things that really bugged me, and again, I am so nitpicking here, but Doc Ock's glasses. I understand that, obviously the way that he's drawn in the comic book, the little star shape, it's supposed to be a glare. It's supposed to be the light shining off of his glasses. But as he's moving his head, the little star shapes are in the same spot. They're never moving or changing as if they're a part of his glasses. And I don't think the animators understood that. And it's like, they've got to get better. They've got to take their time. They've got to... I get they're trying to go with that art style of the old comic books. And, I applaud them for trying something different. To me, though, it's very much like what they were doing with the first season of Rebels. They were still trying to stick so hard to that, what is his name? Rob something or other? McCordy? I think was his last name. The guy who made those, the artwork for Star Wars before the story had been fleshed out, the skinny lightsaber beams and everything.
Man, I can't remember his name, but you're close with.
I'm probably way off. But anyway, I see a lot of that happening where it's like, okay, this is a cool art style. And it looks great as a still image, but I just don't think it translates to animation as well. But that's pretty much my only nitpick. I don't really have too many other issues with this because like I said, I like what they're doing with Peter Parker Spider-Man. I like the fact that it feels to me like they're nailing his character pretty well.
Gross.
He's not as late as Peter normally is, but to me, I feel like they seem to understand who he is well, and they understand. They're either reading the comics more, or you've got people who just understand who he is more. So I do appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that they are sort of threading in, if you will, if you'll accept my, little pun, threading in these villains and heroes into there where they're not starting off right away. They're part of the overall world. So I do like the fact that we're not just getting the villain of the week; they're being dropped in all of a sudden. It feels more natural this way as part of a growing, expanding world. The parallel thing with the MCU is, I understand it. Like I said, I understand like the origins of what the show was, so I get why there's so much of that. It's a little weird to me because the timeline seems accelerated. This is supposed to be Peter's freshman year of high school, and I thought by the time Civil War took place, he was at least a sophomore. I could be wrong, but I could have sworn he was at least a sophomore. And then, Far From Home, he's a junior. No Way Home, he's a senior getting ready to go to college. But again, I could be off with that. It seems like it's a bit of an accelerated timeline in order to draw those parallels. Where to me, it didn't, unless there's a story-based reason for it that they're going to explain later on, where the Sokovia Accords come into play. I don't know, just it feels weird to me that they're pushing these parallels. But other than those nitpicks, I'm kind of liking the story. I'm liking this version of Peter. I think they nailed him. I'm waiting to see more. I am drawn in enough where I'm, at the end of the episode, I'm like, okay, I am curious to see what happens next. It's got me theorizing, which is always a good sign. But on occasion, I do find myself picking up my phone. I'm not always as engaged as I wish I was. And part of that could be just because, like I said, the animation's kind of off-putting to me, so I don't always I don't always want to look at it. So I'm going to give this a 6.5 out of 10. Like I said, it's that animation's killing me. If it looked a little bit nicer, if they blinked more often, then the score would probably be higher because I do like what they're doing with the characters. Dave?
Well, you guys have covered a lot of what I thought. It's the animation doesn't bother me. I'm more into the story, and if you think about it a little bit, the animation kind of looks like a '70s comic book.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I know that's what they're going for.
Yeah, and so I mean, I don't concentrate on it because I usually have the closed captions on so I can turn the TV down, and then I have to remind myself to look up and watch what their characters are actually doing. But when I do, it doesn't bother me. The animation, I know we've seen so much better animation in, like I said, like the Bad Batch and the Star Wars animations, but this is just a different kind. I'm used to it. I like it. Um, I can't say it well. I can't say I like it or don't like it. It's just there, and doesn't bother me. But the story, like you said, like sprinkling in all the characters that bring up this whole universe, and just think they can have episodes depending on how far this series goes. They could have episodes where you're fighting more than one villain at a time. You know, and that's I think that's what more reality would be like, because these villains they aren't going to go wait for you to be free to go ahead and do what they were going to do. So it doesn't play out like a movie where you follow one guy. You got multiple guys to deal with at one time, and I don't think they've ever shown that in a show before. That would be
Imagine if
interesting.
there were six of them.
I was going to say, I trust this show to do the Sinister Six
Better
better
than
than
Sony.
Sony, yes.
Oh yes, of course, yes. So, and I'm not having any phone moments. Maybe once or twice, but nothing major where I sat down there and just lost track and just looked up, and the show became secondary. So it's keeping my interest. I don't, like, at the end of the day, I don't go like, oh my God, I can't wait to see the episode. I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
So I'm still, as far as my rating goes, I'm still at a 6. It's a good show. I like it, but it's not really
You like it
compelling.
more than me, but your score is lower than mine. That's interesting.
What, you gave it a 6.5?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just not compelling me to wonder. I mean, when it comes on, it's like, oh yeah, it's Wednesday. It's time for another one. But I don't go like, oh God, I can't wait for Wednesday. You know what I mean? Not like The Mandalorian or Andor type of thing. So there it is.
Speaking of Andor, we should be getting a trailer soon.
Oh, I hope so.
That it drops in like 2 months.
Yeah.
Hope it doesn't get delayed.
Yeah. Well, it's done. It's completed, so I don't think it'll get delayed. I wonder if they're just waiting for all the post Super Bowl hoopla, but we should be getting a trailer soon because it's less than 90 days away. And usually they drop about 90 days before, so. Any other thoughts on your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, gentlemen?
I was just going to tack on that I'm in a similar boat as you, Dave, where I'm not as compelled. Like, I didn't actually watch the episodes until today. And it's just because like I knew they came out yesterday, but I was like, I'll get to it when I get to it. And then I lost track of time and I just didn't. And then I ended up watching them today when I went to lunch, and I was like, all right, well, it's like I said, I don't know why. I don't know why I wasn't, because I don't hate the story. The story is fine, and I'm enjoying it. I like the characterization. It's just not, it's not pulling me into it. It's not. I'm not in its gravitational force yet. So
Now, if it was live action, would that make a difference?
I don't think so. I actually think this works better animated. I think it's, smoother with Spider-Man with his type of movements, and also the fact that we've got so many, friggin' laser blasts and everything. I think that works better as an animation. I don't know that it would have looked as nice live
Animation
action.
is a lot cheaper than CGI, so they could probably do a lot more. Like getting the symbiote in Doctor Strange in that first episode would have never happened in a live action show.
Yeah. And there it is, folks.
All right, are you guys ready to talk Fantastic Four First Steps?
FF, baby.
You want to start the trailer? Because it was pretty nice. We got the teaser for the teaser on Monday, which is just a bunch of little kids.
I have a
running
question
up
about that.
Yeah.
Is there a difference between a teaser and a trailer?
Yes. They always release a teaser trailer first, which is usually a little shorter. And then they release... This was a teaser trailer, yes.
Okay.
And then they release a full trailer closer to the movie's release.
I assumed that's what was happening because, like Dave, I'm like, oh, that was kind of short.
Yeah, a minute and a half. Not very long.
Well, and it is funny. Teaser trailers can be longer. Like the Superman teaser trailer was what we got, and it was like 2 minutes and something. It all depends what they want to show. And I don't know. A lot of people thought this trailer was going to drop on the Super Bowl, and then obviously it dropped, 5 days earlier. And I don't know if we're going to get any... On what?
It dropped on the 4th?
It did.
Did you just get that?
Yes, I didn't even think about that.
Oh my God, Keith, dude.
Should have done it 4-4 then. I didn't even realize that. Oh my gosh. But with it being so short, maybe we will get a little more footage on the Super Bowl, because they are talking. They think that we're going to get a Thunderbolts trailer. And then they thought we were getting a Jurassic World Rebirth trailer, which we already got.
I didn't even realize that movie was coming out. I don't know. I think I saw like I went to Imagine's website earlier today, and I saw that. I'm like, another Jurassic World movie? I'm like, really?
How many times can you do the same thing? How many times can you realize, dinosaur, don't bring back the dinosaurs?
Well, in this one, they've got to make a brand new dinosaur where they clone together two dinosaurs. Oopsie doodles, it got out.
No, it's even different. If you watch the trailer, they have the key to long life by extracting these dangerous dinosaurs' DNA, and only the ones. They got to go to this testing island where the worst of the worst were.
Dave, that's exactly how I feel. Like, oh my God, I don't care.
Exactly.
Trust me, don't be mistaken for my tone. I watched the trailer and I was like, oh dear God, this might be worse than Dominion.
Worse than Morbius.
The what?
Worse than Morbius.
Oh, worse than Morbius, yeah, probably.
It
Possibly.
could be.
I don't know. It depends. Morbius with or without the end credit scene?
Well, that was the best part. With makes the movie better.
It's like adding extra mayonnaise. It's so delicious.
It's adding extra spoiled mayonnaise that's been sitting out on the counter for 3 months.
Let's all get that Spider-Man. But
I hate it so
enough with Morbius. Enough with Jurassic World movies. Let's watch the Fantastic Four trailer.
Welcome to the Baxter Building.
And hold on, my sound is off, these silly goofs.
Uh-oh.
Want to make sure I did the audio correct here. Yeah, the monitoring device is correct. Let's do that. Hit OK. Let's make sure the advanced options. Oh. And fellow nerd Doug
Got another subscriber.
just subscribed 31 months. Nice work. Okay, so now I did it again. Let's see if I can. Oh, I can hear it now.
Welcome to the Baxter Building.
We make a point to do family dinner every week. Sunday at 7 on the dot, no matter what. We're all here.
I love.
The 50s
Oh,
aesthetic.
I went in the wrong thing. No, the fact that it was like WandaVision, it had the smaller TV frame, and then when it kind of went into the, coming whatever, it kind of panned out, and then we get that cool shot of the Baxter Building. I really like the aesthetics they're doing with this. Having it set in a different universe, and then being heroes in the '60s. I think they got the right director, the guy who did WandaVision, to do this, because that show did did a good job with those '60s sitcoms and everything. So
Yeah, I was definitely getting like some World of Tomorrow vibes from all of this. Almost akin to like the world that Fallout existed in.
yep,
Pre-war, obviously.
yes, definitely pre-war.
Herbie, how's that sauce coming?
Yeah, I'll be the judge of that.
Okay. Okay. Is this guy good or what?
I want to add a couple cloves of garlic.
I like that
Not
Ben's
because
a
it's
chef
that
here.
delicious, I just want to add a little bit of zip.
Okay.
And he's the guy playing him is in The Bear, so I wonder if this was kind of a nod to his role in that movie, because a lot of people were. I want to get your guys' takes. A lot of people split 50-50 or maybe 60-40.
About how he looked.
A lot of people didn't like the way he looked. I saw that and I was like,
I do.
oh my
To me, it
God.
looks very comic booky.
Yeah, I'm like, this is the thing that I grew up with in the comic books. I think he looks great. And
Yeah,
I was
somebody did a side-by-side of this version and the one from the 2000s movie, and I kind of like this one better. I think there's more detail in like his eyebrow ridges and everything. I like it better. I know he's a little bit skinnier looking, but that doesn't bother me.
Yeah, I think that it's the best live action. The look, best live action they've had.
I don't know, Dave. There was that, whole 5 seconds that we saw of the Thing in Fan 4 Stick.
Fan Four Stick.
Yeah, the one made by Josh Track or whatever his name was.
yeah.
Foreskin.
Yeah, that one.
It was just a joke.
Where he's just, it's just like a dude who's under a pile of rocks, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
More like Korg.
I think this is a much better
I
version.
agree. I like the way they made him look. And I like his attitude so far.
Yeah.
Now if let's go back just a inch. If you look at this, in that one corner, he's talking about multiple universes and entries into multiple universes. So I think it's a very good chance that we are going to get some Dave's favorite multiverse talk.
Multiverse shenanigans.
I don't think this movie is going to be delving into the multiverse. I don't think we're going to get all of the Fantastic Four actors from the other movies or anything like that, but I think it's going to show Reed understanding it and realizing they're in a big multiverse, because maybe if Galactus destroys their planet, they'll have to flee to another multiverse, because we know at some point they're going to make it to the Sacred Timeline, because they're going to be in Doomsday and Secret Wars, so it seems obvious. But the other thing I want to talk about this scene, people think they have edited out, a little trailer trick as we like to call it, Reed's powers, because we don't see Reed's powers once in this trailer. We see everybody else's. Do you think he's writing on that other side of the
he's at
chalkboard?
the other end of the chalkboard, and that he's stretching his arm? I can see that.
Yeah. I wonder if we're going to see like things like that in this trailer or in the movie that we don't see in the trailer with his powers, because we don't see it once, which I thought was odd.
Do you think they're gonna reference Howard Stark?
No,
This is in the '60s.
I don't think they will, because I don't think Howard Stark will be as big in their universe as he was in the Sacred Timeline verse.
Now, have we been assured that this is actually in the 60s? I took this as it was, like I said, World of Tomorrow, where it's set in maybe this world's version of, 2014 or 2015 or whatever, and it's just they've maintained this 50s, 60s aesthetic.
Nope, they said that it's
It
set
is
in the
actually
60s. Yep.
the 60s. Okay, all right, I wasn't sure.
First time.
Yeah, I wonder if it starts even existing, their world.
Ben wasn't a rock.
The best pilot in the world.
Yeah,
right
they're
here.
just soccer fans.
Best looking, you mean?
And Johnny never caught fire.
Ben has always been a rock. Johnny is Johnny.
Once again, we saw Johnny flame on. We saw the Invisible Woman use her powers. We see the Thing as the Thing. No Reed. But I like, too, that we see, one of the things the Thing always did in the comics, which always cracked me up, he'd put on a trench coat and a fedora and walk around like no one will know it's the Thing. So they did this in this movie, and I was like, good. I'm glad they stuck to that instead of the director being like, that was silly that he did that. Let's do something different. They just stuck to it, and I hope it works out.
Little fun fact for you, in case you guys didn't know this, but the comic book creators of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were big fans of Marvel Comics. That's why they tied their origin story for the Turtles into the origin story of Daredevil. But it's also why whenever the Turtles would go out of the sewer, they also would wear trench coats and fedoras.
That's
They're
awesome.
these big hulking turtles, but this is their disguise.
That's awesome. I did not know that. I always dug that about the Thing. He's like walking over to Alicia's and he's just, hey, who's that ginormous guy that's clinking like rock? And earlier when he's clapping, when he goes, oh, good job, Herbie, and he clap, you can hear it sounds like stones hitting together. I thought that was a nice touch.
That's attention to detail.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, exactly, Dave.
I'm right here. Whatever life throws at us, we face it together.
Now, that scene right there where it looks like all the meteorites are coming to hit Earth, I think it was the comic or the 90s Fantastic Four cartoon where the Watcher put that like an image or what am I thinking? An illusion of that happening. So
To
the
get them to
Silver
look out into
Surfer
space?
to look in to
Oh.
go away from Earth and not think it was
Oh,
have the energy
Suitable?
to sustain Galactus.
interesting.
So I don't know if they're doing that there or if it's something else, or if it's actually, Silver Surfer arriving at Earth or Galactus trying to destroy their world. Because, man, I got a feeling Galactus might win in this movie. And that's what causes the Fantastic Four to leave and come to the Sacred Timeline or something else, because it would make sense. They've got to have a reason for it. And Galactus destroying their planet, if you guys remember, my what next for Secret Invasion was always going to be that they never made. But if they did make Secret Invasion, I always thought it would be nice to see the Skrulls fleeing because Galactus destroyed their homeworld, which he did in the comics, which would show just how powerful Galactus is. So when he shows up somewhere else, you realize what a threat he is. But, we could see him do that here. And then when they flee, whenever he shows up later on, they can be like, oh, he destroyed our Earth, so we better, get together and stop him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to stop it here for a minute. John Malkovich. Amazing actor. So awesome. Definitely playing the Red Ghost. After seeing this, he is 100% playing the Red Ghost. And I wonder if he is going to be, he's Russian. And I wonder if he's going to be like a space race against Reed Richards in the beginning of the film, like if they flash back to the origin about getting into space, because he ends up mimicking the Fantastic Four's flight, and he takes 3 monkeys with him, and they all get powers, much like the Fantastic Four, but it's him and 3 monkeys. So
Okay,
it'll be interesting to see what they do with the Red Ghost in this film.
Pretend like I've never heard of who the Red Ghost is. For our audience, clearly I know all about
Right.
the Red Ghost. So pretend I don't know and tell me what his deal is, who he is, what's he all about.
He's a Russian scientist. He
Okay.
basically hated the Fantastic Four, and he basically built his own rocket ship he took some monkeys with him and did the exact same flight to gain powers. He got the ability to become intangible and invisible. I forget what the monkeys' powers were too, but
He became a hitman.
yeah,
Oh, really?
no,
Hit monkey.
Oh,
no.
David.
But like he fought with the Fantastic Four quite a bit in the earlier comics, so I think this is a good guess because I honestly think we've heard rumors that Red Ghost was going to be into it. I think this kind of confirms it, unless he's playing somebody else. We've heard the Mole Man was going to be in it, which we saw no, underground
No
dwellers or anything,
What if that's who John Malkovich is?
We didn't see Planetina.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
40 reference.
Funny
And,
that you mentioned Dave. I was actually watching a review of that season of Rick and Morty earlier today, and they had mentioned that what a disappointment it was that they introduced and then got rid of Planetina in one episode when they could have carried it on.
Yeah.
I agree.
She'd be a recurring character.
Oh, and Joseph the Jedi asked us on YouTube, LeBron James or Weezer? Weezer all day, every day.
Weezer the band?
The band?
I assume so.
Huh.
Yes,
All right.
Weezer.
Yeah.
Because, ooh wee ooh, I look just like Buddy Holly. Well, not there. But, all right, you guys ready? Finish this up?
Pull it out.
I love Galactus there.
As a family.
I don't know. It's not very scary to me.
I know you
Would've
were
been
hoping
better if
for
it
a
was a
cloud,
cloud.
Doug. Yeah, I know. But I do like, too, when she
after
says,
everything we've seen.
when Vanessa Kirby says, as a family. Because that was always the thing that the Fantastic Four did so well. They were actual family, and they lived together, they did all these things together. So it was different than the Avengers, than the X-Men, all those other things. And I'm looking forward. Did you notice the reference at the end, too? When on that platform, it was a lot like the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show.
Oh, I thought it was Merv Griffin.
I thought
That's
it
what it
was,
looked like to me.
Sure.
Merv Griffin background.
it could be, okay. But it looked like they were like celebrities being...
They probably are.
Yeah, and I kind of like that. And I
I mean, isn't that basically the way that they were portrayed in the comics too? They were, they were well known. Everybody I don't think they had secret identities, did they?
No, they don't. No,
I don't think so.
they
Yeah.
don't know who
It's
they
kind of
are.
hard to hide that when you go back in space and you're a little bit different.
Right.
Hey, remember that scientist that went to space? I saw him stretching his arm 40 feet the other day.
No, you didn't.
I doubt that's Mr. Fantastic, though. That was just a coincidence.
No way.
No,
No way.
why is he suddenly calling himself Mr. Fantastic?
I mean, what an
Got a high opinion of
egomaniac.
himself. Yeah, he really likes himself.
Oh, and the thing I wanted to talk to,
Thinks-
the thing was always, he's the whole scene where he's like, oh, maybe the best looking or whatever before they went up, and he was standing there, with his fedora and his raincoat, kind of sad because that was always a storyline. He felt bad about how ugly he was and he was a monster and all that stuff. But seeing the kids with the thing masks on, he always had a bad self-image thing about him, but everyone loved him because of how positive he was and how he never gave up. And I love seeing the kids with the thing masks in that one scene. I was like, excellent. have really done a good job to capture all of the Fantastic Four's characteristics. When she's like, well, Ben was always a rock, and he was always there for Reed in college and everything else, and Johnny is always Johnny, which, kind of a hothead and, just a goofball and all those things. So I'm looking forward to this. I've always been a big Fantastic Four fan. They had so many great runs. They had, Stan Lee's original run was good. John Byrne's run in the 80s, I think, was the quintessential run of it. Then you had Jonathan Hickman's run. You had Mark Waid's run. You've had so many great Fantastic Four runs that I really hope this movie borrows a lot of the cool things. Because one of the things Hickman's run is where they introduced the Future Foundation. And even though we didn't see anything in the trailer hinting at the Future Foundation, all of the marketing and stuff is like, oh, the Future Foundation wants to welcome you to the Fantastic Four and all this stuff. So they seem to be diving deep into a lot of the team's history from the comics. And I hope they do. I hope.
You know what? I don't think they will. And here's the reason why. Because they clearly aren't in our multiverse. They're in the 838 or whatever they're in. So whatever story they're in is going to have to wrap up so they can be in the 616. And they don't bring any elements of that universe into our universe except for them. What do you think of that?
You could still have elements of the comics in your one and done type movie. Because I think you're right. I do think this movie will wrap up this story. There's not going to be a cliffhanger at the end of this movie because they do need to wrap it up, because we know this is starting phase 6. We're getting Doomsday, which the Fantastic Four are going to be in. They're going to be in Secret Wars, which will wrap up phase 6.
So, Keith, is your kind of ongoing theory that Galactus does consume their Earth and they have to... So, okay, if that is the the theory that we want to go with, then I've got a theory tacked onto that.
Okay.
If that does end up happening, and they do end up in the 616 after this movie, I guarantee 616 Spider-Man is going to be like, no, they're lying. You remember this guy Mysterio? He said the same story. Real likely, your Earth was destroyed and you just happened to show. All right, hand over the Stark tech.
There you go.
I have another theory, and this is a little wild. I don't know if it'll happen.
Let's see if it matches up with what I'm about to say.
Do you guys know what Franklin Richards' powers are?
Nope.
He can create reality. He is an Omega level mutant who basically can create his own realities. And in some of the comics, he creates his own pocket universes and works with the Future Foundation and doing crazy stuff. What if Galactus is coming to Earth not to eat it, but to get Franklin Richards? Because, for those of you who know Galactus lore, Galactus is the last living being from the prior universe before the Big Bang. What if he realizes what Franklin is? We haven't seen any Franklin. I don't even know if Franklin's in the movie.
Okay.
But the whole dinner scene and stuff was like making me think they're already a family. And Franklin, maybe Valerie, and all of their kids will kind of be there already. And he comes to Earth to get Franklin to recreate his universe so he can leave and basically stop with his hunger and everything else. And ends up somehow
on a much larger planet that he could stand on.
Not necessarily that. Like, Franklin won't do it. Franklin won't use his powers in that way. And Galactus gets upset and they maybe fight him off. But here's the kicker. Here's the part. Doom realizes Franklin's power at that moment. And if we do see a post-credit scene with Doom, it may be because he realizes that Franklin Richards has more power than anybody else in that universe, and he wants to take it. Because we've seen Doom steal the Beyonders' powers, the Silver Surfer's powers. He's always going after other people's powers to strengthen himself. So he may come to want to steal Franklin's. And the only reason I say that is because they still have not introduced the Beyonder. So to actually get Battle World and Secret Wars going, I honestly think they either have to use the Beyonder or use Franklin Richards' power to create it. Now, Franklin Richards hasn't been introduced either, but I got a feeling he's going to show up in the Fantastic Four movie. And then he may be the one who is... his powers are used to create Battleworld. And maybe even if Doom steals his powers, that's God Emperor Doom that we get from Secret Wars 2015. Which I hope they do it more like 2015 and not so much the 1988 one. But the 1987 12-issue limited series is on our back issue breakdown on YouTube. So if you're there,
Nice.
go to our Secret Wars playlist for back issue breakdown. We don't tell you everything that happens in the issues, but we give you the gist of the story. Watch them. Like, subscribe, do all those wonderful things.
You should, if you don't already have it planned, you should do some Fantastic Four back issue breakdowns.
I'm definitely going to. Daredevil Born
Right.
Again is next. I want to do Superman of All Seasons. I want to do some Fantastic Four and Galactus' stories.
Excellent. So I have a different theory.
Uh-oh.
And it's not a fun theory. I don't think people are going to like this theory.
Is
But
it
I think
dark?
it's more... That's not really dark. It's just boring. But I think it's more likely to happen. It just... To me, the way that the MCU is playing out, I think this is the more likely scenario. I think that the Fantastic Four, at the end of this movie, they're either going to defeat or drive away Galactus. I don't think they're going to lose. And I also don't think they're going to, at the end of this movie, find themselves permanently in the 616. I think they might visit. I think they might need some help from them. But I think their world, I think, is going to maintain. I think they're going to remain there. And the reason why I think that is I was going back earlier this week, last weekend actually, and I was watching a couple of Justice League animated episodes, and there were two episodes in particular that I came across. One where they were interacting with their evil alternates, the Justice Lords, kind of a precursor to Injustice, where, you know, Superman and Batman, all of them, they're in their version of Earth, they decide they're going to, you know, start killing their villains instead of always capturing them for them to get out.
Peacemaker
And the
supports
way that they're able
the
to
Justice
interact-
Lords.
What's that?
Peacemaker supports the Justice Lords.
Yeah, yes, very much so. But the way that they are able to go between these worlds is via a portal that's created. Then there was another episode where they go into another version of Earth, and Jon Stewart points out, by the way, best Green Lantern ever, points out that actually these characters that are here, they were in comics in our Earth. And it's weird that they actually had their own reality here, and they were the Justice Society. And so I think we're going to discover that, like, maybe either Mr. Fantastic has developed some kind of portal that links to other worlds, and maybe they're able to move back and forth
And that
between.
chalkboard suggests that he is figuring it out.
That's what I think is more likely to happen. I don't think they're going to, in this one movie, I don't think they're going to permanently move them to the 616 yet. I think maybe that'll be for later on. I think for now, the Fantastic Four is going to remain on their Earth. And they might come to help out every now and again. Obviously, in Secret Wars, they're probably all going to get brought together. And it'll be like, oh, hey, I remember you. You're from that weird 60s Earth.
When the multiversal saga is over, I don't think there'll be going any back and forth between universes.
Right, exactly. I think that's when they're finally going to start melding these other characters, because we also have the X-Men. They're in their own version of Earth, too. We saw that in the Marvel. So eventually, I think they'll bring everyone together. I think there's going to be a big... what is the Marvel version of Crisis on Infinite Earths or Flashpoint or whatever, where they merge into one, you know, continuous world?
Secret Wars.
Does Marvel have
College.
anything like that?
Button.
But I do think they might do a Crisis on Infinite Earth things where a lot of the Earths are all gone and it's Earth Prime.
That's what I think will eventually happen. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this movie, because it seems to have this very sort of bright, hopeful thing. Even Galactus is there, but he's in, he's casting a shadow in the sunlight. It's still a very bright scene, a happy scene and everything, minus the planet-eating god. But yeah, I do think they're going to find a way to drive him away, defeat him, whatever they got to do. And maybe the end credit scene will be him opening the portal and peeking through on, like, Peter Parker in the bathroom or something. Oh, hey, what the hell?
Peter Parker and Happy Hogan talking in the bathroom. Who are
Right,
you? Well,
Peter
gentlemen,
Parker here. Got my passport.
what are your hype levels now for this movie? Now that we've gotten a trailer, we got some footage. Are you excited?
I'm kind of with Doug because growing up I was never really into the Fantastic Four. So, and then I heard I never really watched the movies because they all just seemed like I just didn't like. The best thing about the previous movies was Doctor Doom, I thought. So my hype level after seeing this didn't go up very much. It's probably at about a 5.
That's where I'm at.
This stream is over. I'm just kidding. See, I think my hype level's almost at an 8 now. Like I watched that and I was like, yeah, it's true. To no one's surprise.
Right.
But I was worried about it. I mean, fantastic. We've had so many less than adequate adaptations.
Yeah.
And I was worried about it. But man, like seeing the thing, seeing, Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, seeing Joseph Quinn as the Human Torch, seeing their powers, I was like, okay, this looks good. Seeing the fantastic car, just all the little things. Having that a 60s aesthetic, I think, is a nice little thing, nice little touch. So, once again, Dave mentioned this was only like 90 seconds long. So it wasn't a lot. But I thought it looked good. I thought Pedro, who we stan, was a great read. I thought he did a great job.
For now. I'm
now.
afraid if you say that too much,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
going
it's
to do a
true.
crime.
Well, after this, I've got someone we used to stan is back in the news. We'll talk about that. But I like I've watched it a bunch of times now, and I'm still like, oh yeah, just seeing the thing, being like that. We didn't hear its clobbering time. We didn't hear Flame On. We didn't hear anything like that. But they look like the Fantastic Four that I grew up reading, and I can't wait to see it. And Galactus is a giant purple dude, even though it's not as purple as in the comics. But he's not a freaking cloud. So that raises the hype level for me a couple points.
And that drops my hype level down to 2.
He's got a really cool hat, man.
He's got a really cool hat. Oh my god. It'd be hilarious if he took it off and he's like just a ginger.
Oh my god, that would be hilarious.
He's that dude from Game of Thrones.
Oh man. No, I'm pretty middle of the ground. My hype level's kind of like about a 5.5. I mean, it looks nice. I think the actors were all good choices. The actor that got to play Johnny, I don't understand what they did to his hair. It's weird. It doesn't look natural, but I don't know. I mean, I guess that's maybe the point. But yeah, I don't know. It hasn't drawn me in yet. It looks like it might be better than some of the other stuff that we've gotten. But then again, I mean, I was really, really hyped for Love and Thunder, and that kind of disappointed me. So, I don't know. I'm kind of... we'll see. I'll go see it, obviously, but not super hyped yet. Maybe once the full trailer comes out, that might change my mind. But right now, I'm at about a 5.
And there you have it.
All right, gentlemen. Are you ready? It's not all rumors. There's one rumor and there's one news item.
Okay.
It's about Kang, isn't it?
Yeah, how'd you know?
Well, I saw his picture in in the feed this week, but I didn't read the story.
Oh no! Oh no! What did he do now?
No, Marvel is thinking about bringing back Kang to wrap up his storyline.
Jonathan Majors playing him?
Yep.
Huh. All right.
So, which I love Kang as a character. I thought Jonathan Majors played him well. Legal troubles aside, I'm actually glad they kind of went with Doom for the next Avengers movie and for Secret Wars because, they really made Kang seem weak in Ant-Man Quantumania. Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania. Being beat by Ant-Man alone. Now, he didn't have a lot of his technology and stuff. I get it. Don't start shouting at me in the comments and everything else. But I thought they did a disservice to the character by having him lose to Ant-Man. And maybe they're just going to bring him back for Ant-Man 4, and Ant-Man's just going to kick the crap out of him, and then we won't see Kang until Phase 10 or something. Who knows? But I thought that was interesting. Now that his legal troubles are behind him, they might bring him back and finish out his storyline. Now, whether Jonathan Majors will come back or not, I don't know. But
I thought you were going to say how Neil Gaiman was back in the news again.
no, we're not going to talk about that on this. That is so sad. Dave makes a very good point of always reminding us you're innocent until proven guilty. But it's like when the first allegation came up, I'm like, okay, God, I hope that's not true. And then we're just hearing multiple accounts about that.
Of allegations now. Yeah. It's like, not liking that.
And the babysitter saying, yeah, he's human trafficking and what she did, he raped her and the wife knew and stuff. It's just getting, weird. And I'm just like, oh, okay, I don't know if I can handle that. Now, this isn't a rumor. This is news. This is true. This might help some things that we've talked about in the past. We might see a change from a certain studio. Might help things along.
Sony?
No.
Oh.
Derek Huffman.
James Gunn?
No, not James Gunn. Derek Huffman has been named Lucasfilm's new Vice President of Development and will now oversee live-action projects. He's previously worked on the X-Men films, Legion, which I loved. I don't know if you guys watched Legion on FX.
I watched the first few episodes. Aubrey Plaza was on that.
Yep. And Gifted. I don't know if you guys watched Gifted. I did watch Gifted. It was kind of a X-Men adjacent show, but it was...
Oh, I remember that now, yes.
Polaris was on it.
It was on Fox, I think.
Yeah, it was, yep. And it wasn't bad. I'm hoping this will get things made by Lucasfilm. Because they announce, we've talked about it thousands of times, they announce hundreds of projects and never one of them sees the light of day. And if they really want to get back in their groove, make movies and make them good. Get them out there. We hear about trilogies given to everybody and then we never see them. We hear about movies, the new Jedi Order Rey movie. Oh, there's a new writer. What's going to come out first? New Jedi Order or Blade?
Right.
Yeah, okay. Look, here's my only ask of this. I don't really care at the end of the day who's running the show because it doesn't seem like they're really the ones responsible for a lot of the decisions. It seems like a lot of that goes into the hands of the actual showrunner or director. At least in my experience, it seems like that's where most of the decision making comes. My only ask is that they get Sam Witwer in there as like quality control, and that he gets to review every script at the end of the day and be like, this is garbage or this is good, or this doesn't make sense. Like, just hire the guy, give him a bunch of money, tell him you get to be our resident nerd. Here's everything that we want to put out live action. This is stupid. Do not do this. The fans will hate it.
And we are making a never-ending Darth Maul cartoon that you are doing the voice.
Oh, God. They would do that, too, wouldn't they? Like, oh, no, guys, I think Darth Maul's pretty wrapped up. No, but here's out. Money.
I just
we're
love...
start him out when he's 17, okay? And we're going to go through every day of his life.
He does, he's not Alan Tudyk with voices, but there was a thing I saw where he was talking to somebody and he was like talking about his Darth Maul voice, and he's like, the guy who did it in Phantom Menace was like this. And so I wanted to add this and this, and then he does his voice, and I'm like, oh my God, wow, that's amazing.
Thought into it.
And hearing the story about him correcting Dave Filoni saying,
Right.
Yeah.
she met Anakin's mom. What? Oh yeah, that's right, in the Phantom Menace.
Yeah, he knows a lot about Star Wars lore. Like he retains it up here. And then hearing him like describe different scenes and explaining the importance of different things. Like, listen to him, if you haven't already seen it, listen to him break down the fight between Maul and Obi-Wan in Rebels.
Oh yeah.
The passion behind the way he talks about it.
And it's things that the casual viewer would not even pick up on.
Mm-hmm.
But each little motion, he knew what it was for. Great.
Yeah,
We need
Obi-Wan
more
switching
of that.
stances. He did the Qui-Gon at first, and then
Yes.
The
We
old
need more
Obi-Wan, the new Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm.
and Maul tried to do the same move he did in Qui-Gon. But guess what? Obi-Wan saw that move and knew how to counter it.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that you need to be a Star Wars expert to do this stuff. I mean, Andor is proof of that. But having that extra layer of, making sure the canon is respected would be ideal. I mean, if we would have had people like Dave Filoni or Sam Witwer kind of like reviewing what JJ was coming up with, I really think a lot of the mess that we are presented with the sequel trilogy would have been avoided.
I agree.
And those crap movies made $1 billion a piece. Imagine if they had
I mean,
a
I
good
know they made
storyline.
money, but that's still like...
No, imagine if they had a good storyline.
Right?
Did-
Yeah.
Did Rise of Skywalker make $1 billion?
Yeah, I think they all did. I think it made like
Wow.
1.3. I can look it up really quick. I don't want to disseminate any incorrect information.
Yeah, I knew Force Awakens did because that, the first Star Wars movie in 20-some years went bonkers.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew The Last Jedi did, even though it was very divisive for fans.
Even in this room, yeah, it made 1.077 billion.
Holy moly. Oh, and that was such a god-awful movie.
Yep.
Even my silver
Oh,
lining
Palpatine
could not.
returned.
Yeah. Keith Silver Lining could not save that movie.
No.
God, that was so wretched.
No, Keith's silver lining, like, rusted, and I don't even know if silver rusts.
It takes a lot of crap to rust silver. And that movie did it.
A lot of crap.
I rolled my eyes so hard during the couple of beginning, like, their light speed jumping. I'm like, oh, this is stupid. And then when they, I knew Palpatine was coming back because of the trailers, but when they said that line, and then, when the one dude from Lost is like, cloning, yes, secrets only the Sith knew. I'm like, did you not watch any of the other movies, dude?
Do you not know Camino?
That whole planet. No. A lot of people seem to know about. What are you doing?
I thought it was pretty stupid when she passed her lightsaber like this.
Oh,
And
that
he
was so
had-
dumb.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Oh my God.
Force teleportation is a thing now. Sure, dude. Why not?
They're a dyad and can do that. Has it ever been established that they could do that? Did you make reference to it earlier in any of the films? You didn't? You just did it to get out of some sloppy writing? Got it.
The defenders
Yeah,
of that movie,
exactly.
which I was surprised that there were some, they were trying to because that's the same argument that I've seen a bunch of times. Well, did they make any reference to that? Well, did they make any reference in the fucking, oh my God, when Luke pulled the lightsaber using the Force? Nobody had ever done that before, and it's like, shut up, I don't like you.
Dave we saw tons of things of the Force, throwing things and everything else. Oh my God.
Yeah, why wouldn't that be? They can throw big boxes full of stuff. Darth Vader can stop a transport from leaving, but he can't summon his lightsaber? No. That wouldn't be right.
Yeah.
But we don't need to end the stream just sitting here saying what everybody, the vast majority, I'm pretty sure the vast majority of fans, like, I don't even think, from what I understand, I don't think the Rise of Skywalker is divisive. I'm pretty sure the majority of Star Wars fans do not like that movie.
No, I think you're right.
Like,
That's
there's like a
so-
small subset of we have to defend all Star Wars, and that's about it.
$1 billion to a piece of crap.
And to think I
Crap.
almost saw it in theaters twice.
Oh yeah, you were gonna see it with your team from work, weren't you?
Yep. Yeah, but then we ended up, we were at Black Rock, and it took
No.
way too long.
You really dodged a bullet there.
Yes and no. We were at the restaurant for almost 4 hours. Yeah, it took them forever to bring out our food. And they did not look that busy. I don't know if they were short-staffed or what was going on. But yeah, we walked in there was hardly anybody in there. Sat down at the table, we were doing our whole gift exchange. This was, for the holidays. Did our gift exchange, we're talking, we get our we ordered some appetizers. They didn't come for an hour.
Oh wow.
So they finally brought our appetizers, and then we ordered our food a half an hour after that, and then our food didn't actually come for like another 2.5, 3 hours. And it was like, by the time we got our food, the movie was starting. So we're like, well, I guess we're not going to see the movie.
Once again, you dodged a bullet. You may have been hungry,
Right,
but you dodged
right.
a bullet. All right, gents, it's getting late. Should we raid somebody?
I think we...
Got, oh, yeah, TG's on and
I was about to say, do
on.
my eyes to see me? Is TG still on?
He is. Well, he wasn't on when we started, so maybe he got a late start.
Ooh, and he's playing the beta of Monster Hunter Wilds.
Ooh, all right.
Let's definitely raid TG with her.
It's all right.
All right. Very cool.
And for those of you on YouTube, rating is something we do on Twitch, where we send our viewers to another content creator that we like and respect. In this case, it's TG. He's also on YouTube. If you're not familiar, look up Terrible Gamer. He's fantastic. And we will not be streaming this Sunday because that is the Super Bowl. But we will be back Monday night talking Invincible, the Season 3 premiere. 3 episodes dropped. And anything that may drop for the Super Bowl, whether it be a Thunderbolts trailer, more Superman footage, more Fantastic Four footage. I don't know what else. Ironheart. Who knows?
Monday could be a big night.
Monday could be a huge night. You're right, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to raid. We will see you guys all on Monday night. If you haven't already and you're on YouTube, please like, subscribe, comment, do all the things that help our little channel out tremendously. And we appreciate you. See you Monday.
Hey, fellow nerds. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you want to see more of this stuff, make sure that you check out our Twitch stream. We try to do these live Sunday or Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Keep an eye on our social media to find out when you can join in live and chat with us during these live streams. Also, as usual, don't forget to check out our other social media. Add us at Twitter, comment down below, and we'll see you next time right here on Not Your Status Quo.